And for the second time in as many nights, Arizona baseball has taken down a ranked opponent. We're going to break it all down in 30 seconds. Do not go anywhere. Oh, what's up? Didn't see you there. The Arizona Wildcats lose by 17 points to Iowa State. And Kevin, we have some lost music.
Finally, we do. It's regrettable that we have to use it tonight, but we did have to break out the sad vocals there. That was
it was fitting.
Yeah,
you know?
It was very fitting for this type of a game where you and I were talking about it, Damon, and obviously. Welcome to the AZ Wildcats post-game show. This is not a baseball post-game show. We are talking basketball on this podcast, even though we probably would love to be talking about some baseball right now, Damon, because the Arizona Wildcats, you and I were confident that they had a strong chance to actually take this one on the road in Iowa State. We both knew how tough and how good Iowa State is, but just the way that Arizona has been when they play their game this year, they're really hard to beat. And that did not happen tonight, Damon Dog. So, yeah, your live reaction to this one.
Well, first off, I'd just like to say it's good to be back with you, Kevin. I guess I was thinking about that and thinking about you a little bit more than you were thinking about me, and that's fine. But yeah, it's good to be back on a two-man show. It's been a minute. I was gone, then you were gone, then I was gone, and it's we haven't had much time together recently, but. Unfortunately, Arizona drops its fourth game in the last 6, and that's not a good place to be. And this one wasn't particularly competitive. Arizona kind of tightened it up at the end there. What did it become, a 10, 11-point game at the end there, Kevin? But yeah, for the most part, it was pretty much out of reach. It felt like from 5 minutes into the basketball game. And yeah, I think some questions need to be asked at this point. Arizona seemingly will fall out of the rankings. We were talking about that a little bit at one portion of the game. And there's so many games here and there that maybe not so many, but there's a couple here in this 6-game stretch where Kansas State, Houston, and what was the other one?
BYU.
BYU.
The most recent one.
Yeah, of course. And mostly BYU. Easily all three of them could have gone Arizona's way. And if those do go Arizona's way, we're talking about a top 10 team in the country. So yeah, it's an unfortunate spot to be in right now, and Arizona's been accumulating too many losses, with this one being the worst of them, Kevin.
Yeah, no, honestly, this was just, we talked about this earlier, and I guess you and I can get into this maybe now if you want to, but this team tonight, the team that showed up that was posing as the Arizona Wildcats, didn't have any juice. Like, they just didn't, from the first tip, didn't seem like they had the same level of intensity that they have when they perform well in games, right, Damon? And I think I said it in the last 5 minutes of the game. That was the most intense they had played all game, was those last 3 minutes, which by then it was a little too late.
The second half in general, I thought that the energy level was decently high, but like my show tweet said, it was too little too late at that point.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But I don't know. I think there were parts of the second half where it did look like a team that was down about 20 out there. You know what I mean by that? Like, I'm not saying that they weren't trying. I'm not saying that they weren't playing with some sort of intensity, but it did look like a team that knew that they were down 20.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the Caleb Love logo three-pointer specifically.
That one, but I'm also just talking about
head a little bit.
That was really bad. But I'm also just talking about the body language in general of, like, after a bad foul call, just the slumping of the shoulders and like that kind of stuff. And as Devin all says, Larry Bird, player of the game. God,
that made me laugh.
I'll talk about. I do want to talk about that a little bit.
We will
on this show. But
we'll get into more silly stuff because unfortunately we have to talk basketball for a little bit at least. But
laugh to keep from crying. You know what I mean?
That's the way we're gonna think about it. Caleb Love 2 for 15 tonight. Kevin 2 for 10 from 3. As we mentioned, like a lot of second half, threes he's jacking up there just to just to try to get Arizona back in the game. But yeah, I mean, obviously you can't be happy with that kind of performance from Caleb Love, only 10 points. Jaden Bradley really feels like the only guy, him and KJ Lewis, that showed up. KJ Lewis ended up shooting 3 for 9, but Jaden Bradley, the one dude who felt like he actually showed up tonight. And your bigs didn't give you much. You got 12 points from Henry Vasar and Toby Awaka, which I feel like Arizona has been winning off of those guys kind of overperforming what we expected them to be, Kevin. And when you get 12 points from them combined, there's oftentimes games where you're getting 12 points from both of them. So that's really just not going to cut it for Arizona. But do we have the stats ready to go? I'd love to see the stats here early in the game.
Yeah, we do have our by the numbers
early in the post-game show. I just want to get to it, Kevin.
Our by the
Let's just get out
numbers
of the way.
presented by Desert Financial, your #1 credit union, rated by Forbes. Shout out to our friends over at DFCU. These are really gross. These are actually disgusting numbers to look at. Look at the field goal percent, Damon. 50-33 in favor of the Cyclones. The 3-point percentage is no better. In fact, it's actually much worse. 52-18. And then the assists, that 17-9. The ball movement was better for Iowa State. They also scored a lot more points, so you're gonna have a lot more assists, a lot more buckets. That's just basic math. And yeah, this one was nasty, Damon.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't good. What was the stock battle again, Kevin?
Should we go to the stock market here?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Let's go to the stock market early in this one. A 14-10 dub for the Arizona Wildcats.
That's all that matters.
Maybe a moral victory. Moral victory
Kevin,
here.
cue the win music.
Cue the win music. There it is. Hey, man. Hey. Hey, they won this. Oh, what?
14-10.
What? Stocks. All right, enough of that. Enough moral victories. Yeah, back to the dejected, sad emotions that me and Damon were feeling watching this one. But should we start off? I feel like we'd be remiss to mention the fact that not only did Arizona not maybe play its best basketball tonight, and I think that might be a little bit of an understatement in some ways.
Yeah.
Iowa State, tip of the hat to Iowa State. They played very well tonight. I mean, damn near perfect in a lot of ways, Damon. Anytime you shoot 52% from the 3 on 21 attempts, everything's falling, and it's a very good night for your team.
Yeah.
And it's hard to beat a team when you let them get 50 and 50 from the field, right? It's not a recipe for victory, to say the least. And I just felt like we'd be remiss to go straight into the Arizona diagnosis without kind of tipping our hats to Iowa State, because they beat Arizona. Like, Arizona didn't play well, but they got beat by Iowa State.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, what was Iowa State to start the game? 6 of 8 from 3, I believe,
I think something like that
at one point. So it's like, when a team comes out shooting like that, they're going to be tough to beat because they're going to establish a lead most likely, unless you're conversely doing the same thing on the other end, which Arizona certainly was not shooting at that clip tonight, Kevin. So yeah, no, I mean, you see Iowa State, they're going to shoot like that. You got to tip your cap to them a little bit. I made the comparison to 2018 Buffalo. It was giving me those vibes of just everything they were throwing up was just going in, no matter what, man. And it's tough to win games like that, but you know, Iowa State, they did have some injuries recently. They lost by 9 to Houston. They lost by 6 to Oklahoma State, who's not a good basketball team, Kevin.
In fact, they're a bad basketball team.
I agree.
Within the Big 12. Within the Big 12.
I agree. They're
relative.
kind of like I think they're kind of a decent basketball team, but they just play in the wrong conference.
That's
my opinion.
Yeah, they're well coached, but I really don't think the team has much juice to it. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, so I mean, but they lose a game they shouldn't, is what the point is, and they're 22-7 on the season now after winning this game. They're going to be a team that's tough to beat 3 times in a row, and they came out against Arizona and they made a ton of shots tonight. They had some players that came back healthy, including Keshon Gilbert, who is arguably their best player. So it's not the end of the world for Arizona, but I think that this bodes a different question that I'm going to bring up later in the show, Kevin. I want to get into it kind of as we close out here. But yeah, I mean, Arizona's not done, but they've left themselves little room for error here.
Yeah, and when you talk about room for error, I think about Iowa State, right, who had that 3-game losing streak that was tipped off by Arizona beating them. Then they went on to lose to Kansas State and Kansas. They then beat some teams at the bottom of the conference to get back on track a little bit. They stumbled against Houston and Oklahoma State, like you alluded to. And then this was a game that, if you're Iowa State, you absolutely do not want to lose, right? Returning home from a bad road trip, you're fighting for tournament seeding at this point in the season. You cannot afford to have a 3-game losing streak heading into a game at home against BYU, and then you play Kansas State on the road. That's not the easiest team to beat. And I think that this was for Iowa State. You know, someone in the chat said, James, who was it? Yeah, basketball and football guy said this was Iowa State Super Bowl. It was not their Super Bowl. It was not. I don't think that
I was going to save this for a little bit later too, but come on, we're not going to talk about those fans tonight. And I tweeted it. I love those fans. They're awesome. Iowa State fans are great. Like, they clearly live for it. They're super passionate, Kevin. But like, they're up 17 against Arizona, and the refs are doing their thing. They're going to keep Arizona in it a little bit because they don't want it to be like a 30-point blowout. That doesn't do the conference good. That's how basketball works. You know what I mean? And they're freaking out about every call, and I just love that passion. But yeah, I mean, it sounded like their Super Bowl when they were booing in that stadium. You don't think so?
I don't. Well, okay. In terms of the actual team on the court, I don't know how the fans felt, whatever. But in terms of the actual team on the court, this is not their Super Bowl. But it was a game that you really wanted to have, right?
Yeah.
And I think that showed in the approach that Iowa State took to this game because, I mean, I haven't watched enough Iowa State to say this, but that must have been their most complete offensive performance of the season, right? Like
I would have to think so.
That was a truly impressive performance. The shooting efficiency.
We're counting real teams, right? Real teams.
Sure, when they're fully healthy as well, because that was something when I was doing my prep for this matchup that was really important. That when they're fully healthy, Iowa State's one of the best teams in the country, not just the conference. They just haven't really been able to string together enough healthy.
Ooh, they scored 108 against UCF.
Ooh, but see, UCF is not the team that Arizona is.
No, but they had. I mean, they shot better percentages, I think, against Arizona.
That's what. Yeah, and the shots that were going in tonight for Iowa State, Damon, you alluded to it just now. But some of those shots were insanely difficult. They were insanely high difficulty shots.
Mm-hmm.
Momcilovic, let's just talk about it now. The Larry Bird comparisons were unbelievable. There were 3 in the first half, to the point where someone on the halftime desk at ESPN, I forget who it was, pardon me for that, but they had to kind of defend Larry Bird's honor. They had to be like, hey, great player.
That's crazy.
Great player,
yeah.
But also like we gotta pump the brakes a little bit
totally.
on those comparisons. There was, I remember he came off a screen and nailed a 3, and the announcer goes, "Looking like Larry Bird coming off of that screen." And I'm thinking like, oh my God, what are we doing? And then, they show a replay of it later, and he's like, just the way he holds that ball, it kind of looks like Larry Bird. And I'm thinking like, you mean like a basketball player? Because I mean, I don't know. He's a hell of a player, but I think
you weren't seeing it.
I think people forget, man. People forget, man. There was some UFC tonight, so people forget, man. Larry Bird, he was incredible. But no, in all seriousness, the announcers were really good tonight, but that was not one of their.
Was that Cormier or Rogan?
that was a Rogan.
Gotcha.
People forget, man. John Jones is a marauder. Nobody does that to Thiago Alves or Thiago Santos. No one does that.
That's pretty good.
It's like everyone does that to Thiago Santos. But anyway.
Don't get me started.
Yeah. No. But yeah.
Honestly, do you want to just do a UFC postgame?
There was, yeah. I mean, I didn't get to watch any of it, but
cool.
I mean,
let's talk about it.
I heard, Cap said something crazy, so we could do a WWE Elimination Chamber post game. I heard I heard John Cena did a thing. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't watched that might care to watch. I mean, I doubt anybody in here is a nerd like me that cares about that stuff. But yeah, Damon, back to the basketball. What were some of your other takeaways from the shot making that Iowa State had tonight?
I mean, I don't even know what there is to say about that. It's just like they're a good basketball team. They're a great basketball team, and they made their shots tonight. And it felt like a big game for them. And Arizona didn't match their intensity in the first half. I felt like the second half you saw a little bit more of that fight. You saw at the end like a slight sliver of hope, down 11 points there. But in reality, it just was never really was a basketball game. And it's disappointing because, I think before the game, Kevin, both of us were of the opinion, we were talking about it a little bit, both of us were of the opinion that this was a game that Arizona could win and could win, like, I wouldn't say like easily, but like we could very much see them winning. Yes. It was not like it wouldn't be like oh, if things break right, they can win. It
wouldn't be like, if they hit a 55-foot miracle.
It felt like 50-50 to me, at least.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like this, the value on an Arizona money line. We talked about that as well. And it didn't work out in Arizona's favor tonight.
Yeah,
I'll go back to what I just said, Kevin. It just leaves you very, very little room for error in these next two. You have to beat ASU. That's not a question. I mean, you always do, because, you know, you can't be splitting with them. You can't be losing to them at home in particular.
On my birthday?
But yeah.
Finna have me acting like
I didn't know that. Is it
finna
your
have
birthday?
me acting like the Godfather if that happens.
I didn't know it was your birthday.
You come in here.
Have you mentioned
and
that before
lose
on
in
this program?
McHale on my birthday? That's unacceptable, Tommy. You and I gonna have a chat. Anyway, back to the postgame show. Got a little distracted there. But yeah, no, I
had no idea
right.
it was your birthday.
You're right. I mean, I didn't even know. I kind of forgot, actually. But no, in all seriousness, Damon, you're right about the no room for error, right? I said it actually after the BYU loss that I thought that was going to be the last wake-up call for this team, right? And some people were kind of on me about calling it a wake-up call, and BYU's very good, which they are very good.
Yeah.
But I think the way in which Arizona lost that game, what should have been a wake-up call for this team, and then to come out kind of flat against Iowa State, I don't know what's going on, man, because Tommy Lloyd is talking about their casual approach to practices at times and things, and players maybe showing up late to stuff. And at this point, like, it's weird. This is a weird team. It's a weird team right now. And a very good team, Arizona, right? But a weird team in Arizona. I think you'd agree with that, right?
I would. It's because it feels like this team's ceiling is super high, right? And like, I'm not crazy, and I'm not alone in thinking that. And yes, I wanted to highlight this comment real quick before we get back to the topic at hand. But Basketball and Football Guy says you can't lose Bobby Hurley's last game at McHale. You certainly cannot do that, because Bob, you want to talk about Super Bowls. Kevin, you want to talk about Super Bowls? Bobby Hurley, his Super Bowl is 1,000% that last game in Tucson. He hates Arizona fans more than he loves anything in life. I feel comfortable saying that about Bobby Hurley. So yeah, absolutely. That's unacceptable. But
real quick. Sorry. You got me started on the Bobby Hurley thing real quick. Arizona, can we talk about how Arizona basketball ruined Bobby Hurley's like mental state? He had to take
this is a good. I like this spin. This is a good deflection out of us. Let's do it.
He had to take a social media detox.
Mm-hmm.
He has not yet to wear a suit or tie to any of the games after. It's been like quarter zips or a hoodie.
Really? I didn't notice that.
Oh, yeah. He's not even wearing ties anymore.
He lost the respect for the game.
I think it's a situation.
He lost the respect for the game, Kevin?
No, I don't even know about respect for the game. I think it's just like, when you wake up in the morning and you just don't feel like getting out of bed, and you just kind of throw something on. You know what I mean? You just kind of, I got to go. You're telling me one of my best players is a high schooler right now,
mm-hmm.
and I got to put on a tie for this? I don't think I'm gonna put on a tie for this. Anyway, we don't got to give them too much clock on this one. But you mentioned him, and I thought that would be an interesting thing to see if he even shows up dressed for this Arizona.
Did you talk
game.
about it on the show at all before? Like, did you quote him? Because I would love to read his quote.
I don't think so.
It's been a challenge, man. I spent a couple hours last night awake in the middle of the night just sorting out everything. I haven't been on social media since the Arizona game. And I said, Caleb Love broke Bobby Hurley, which he absolutely did. And then he also, what did he say? Like, I don't even know if I'll wake up tomorrow, which is
Basketball and Football Guy.
That's
right here.
An absolutely insane quote.
See, that's what I'm talking about, though. Like, the mental health has been soiled. It's been ruined. Soiled it. He soiled it. Arizona completely ruined that man. And he really did it to himself. He really did it to himself.
There's going to be a mutual parting of ways. He's been there for 10 seasons.
Hey, 10 more, baby. 10 more. Bring
I'm
on
with
10
you.
more.
I'm with you. And it's been a quick 10. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't felt like 10. It's felt like it's flown by.
He really
Kevin.
hasn't had the runway to do what he needs to do with the program. It's kind of,
it's like, how short of a leash are you going to give a guy? I mean, he needs to build out a program and build out a culture. It's like Tommy said after the Houston
good people
game.
over there, but also like, you can't micromanage a guy and expect him to have a winning basket. I mean, he's clearly being micromanaged. I don't know.
And you're getting all the hard hitting analysis here on the AZ Wildcats post game show. We're gonna get back to the Iowa State Arizona game, but first we're gonna take a break. And I'm going to talk about our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Kevin, I'm back in the Valley. I was in the great city of Indianapolis with the beautiful warm weather and, you know, the crazy, crazy nightlife over there. But I'm excited to be back in Phoenix because I've been missing my casinos, and I need to get over to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. My favorite location, that Wild Horse Pass location, where they're going to be doing a grand finale of their Lamborghini Lux giveaway for $350,000. That's right, guys. March 1st at Wild Horse Pass, which I guess is tonight, so maybe head on over there right now. One lucky winner is going to drive away in a Lamborghini.
Get over there now.
Don't miss your chance. It's your opportunity to experience the thrill of luxury and speed. Visit every Friday for your chance to win big. And I'll tell you what, if that giveaway is over, still head on over to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. It is a phenomenal time. They got the spa for if you want to relax. They got the pool area with the cabanas, drink out there, hit up the floor, play some table games, play some slots. Like Gila River has it all. So concerts, you're gonna have a great time if you head on out there. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
Well, Damon, you and I didn't really get to talk about this because I was, we were kind of doing the ships passing in the night thing. But when I was in St. Louis, I was driving around in a Ford F-150, Damon. I was driving around in a Ford. Now, I wish it was a Sanderson Ford, but now that I'm back in Sanderson Ford territory, I might have to look into what I might have to do it because Sanderson Ford, it's America's #1 Ford dealership. It's Arizona's #1 Ford dealership. It's our #1 Ford dealership. They're like family to us, and you can celebrate President's Day with their 48-hour President's Day sale to celebrate the 48th state of Arizona. And Ford trucks being the #1 in sales for 48 years straight. So save up to $4,800 on Bronco Sports Badlands. Save 10 grand off of F-150 STX and XLT trucks. Save an extra 10 grand off of full-side Broncos as well. So shop no hassle, no worry, no pressure, no nonsense with Sanderson Ford. Don't miss the Sanderson Ford presidential sale. Offer expires March 3rd, 2025. Offers on 2024 models include Ford rebates, Sanderson discounts, and Conquest cash and flex buy discounts you must qualify for. See dealer for details.
Kevin, there's a guy in my apartment complex that actually has a Bronco Badlands. I've noticed right near me. I've started like my spidey senses were going off a little bit because you know how much I love the Bronco.
Got to make a new friend.
And you specifically love the Badlands, particularly because of how badass the name is. But I was walking up and I saw that it had the Badlands little patch on it, and I was like, man, that car actually goes so hard. I'd love to be driving around in that thing. My guy Kevin in the chat says, need all coaches back in suits. Nothing was better than Miller sweating through that t-shirt or that shirt 10 minutes in. And that's an elite meme, no doubt about it. But here's where I'll disagree. I feel like the coaches that wear suits these days are all the dorks. So it's like we
absolutely not.
We have like, you don't think so?
Rick Pitino is a dork.
He's old school. That's it. I give him a pass.
He's a gangster.
I know. I give him a pass. There's a diff. I think that it like once you reach like 70 plus, I'll give you a little bit of leeway. But all the guys that are like of age, where it's like, dude, like be a quarter zip guy.
Like you're kind of being a poser.
I'm talking about Mick Cronin.
Oof.
I'm talking about Bobby Hurley.
Oof.
And by the way, he's stopped being a dork, right? Because he's given up. So he's just sitting there on the sideline like, whatever, that's cool.
That's honestly more dorky than continuing to wear the suit. Because if you continue to wear the suit, at least it's like, okay, I'm showing up to work in my finest every day.
No. Then he's gonna rip the tie off and throw the jacket.
But see, that's on him. That's not on the suit. That's on. I guess that's to your point, right? But I don't know.
I just feel like it's an easy identifier of like who the dorks are. So I can just like right away just be like, oh, okay, I don't like that guy.
It's also about the quality of the suit. Like Rick Pitino's suits that he breaks out. Oh, they're clean. Oh, they're fitted.
Yeah, so that's real
like, nice.
I'm not talking about Rick Pitino, dog.
Mick Cronin, I'm sure his suits are incredibly nice. I'm sure they cost more than my rent for 3 months. But I think he has that kind of. I don't know. He looks like a Lego man in his suit. You know what I mean? Like you dressed your kid up in a suit for career day, and it's adorable.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. He is Mini Mickey for a reason. But getting back to this game, Kevin.
Yes, Arizona played basketball tonight.
They did. This is a good question to ask. What concerns you most about how Arizona played tonight? Is it the 3-point defense? Is it the way that the offense was flowing? Is it just the fact that they can't shoot from the perimeter? I mean, there's a lot of different angles we can come from here. What do you think is like? I know it doesn't come down to one thing, and I know there's a lot of nuance in between, but like if you had to point to one thing, what would you go with?
I would say, for me, I was not in my head about the offense with offensive flow when you were talking about that, because it's not, for me, the biggest issue is not that Arizona struggles to shoot, right?
Yeah.
It's Arizona's like persistence and insistence on just shooting threes. And when you're not a good shooting team, you have to take care of the ball and you have to be able to find other ways to get open shots, right? Whether it's mid-range, you have to have a post game, something to go to, some bread and butter, as we like to say on McHale Madness, to go to when your offense needs a bucket. And you and I were talking about this during the game. When Arizona needs a bucket, with all due respect to everybody out there, there's nobody with consistency that can just say, all right, enough of this messing around. I need to go get a layup. I need to go get to the free throw line.
Yeah.
Caleb Love does his best, and to be honest, they don't. I think Caleb Love got fouled a couple times on drives tonight and didn't get called for that. But it's not all on. I'm not going to sit here and blame refs as to why Caleb Love's shooting a three from the hash logo down 20. It's the shot selection. And it's the offensive scheme with the skill sets of the players that Arizona has that really worries me when it comes to March, because the defense is going to be fine, right? It's not going to be awesome every night, but the defense travels. Shooting really doesn't travel.
No, certainly not.
I think that Arizona. Saul keeps talking about how he's seen Tommy Lloyd's offense in different scenarios, and he thinks that Tommy Lloyd has a lot more in the tank with sets and such. I would love to see it. I can't wait to see it, because we're running out of time to show it. And so I think
and now's the time, because there's 2 games left.
Yeah. And
it's not like we got a lot of leeway before the Big 12 tournament and the end of the season.
Yeah. So for me, the biggest worry is Arizona's lack of offensive consistency. You know what I'm trying to say here, folks. And I think that the shooting, you know what it is, right? If I don't know what's a good analogy here, Damon? Like if you know that your phone doesn't charge with a certain cord, right? You're going to use other cords. You're going to find other ways. You're going to bend it around. You're going to do all this weird stuff to make your phone charge. But it's like the definition of insanity to come out here and shoot 22 plus threes every game, knowing you're going to make 2 to 6 of them.
Yeah.
That's
it's
insane.
not good enough.
And I know you and I have these conversations about, well, if you're open, you're open. You should shoot it if you're open. But I think there are a lot of times in these games where they're not really wide open threes. They're just like, I feel good about shooting this kind of a three.
They shoot a very high volume of threes.
And I feel like that's the biggest killer of this team. And you set yourself back from a momentum standpoint. I know some people don't believe in momentum, but you set yourself back from a rhythm standpoint.
They attempted more threes tonight than Iowa State did.
Disgusting statistic.
Yeah,
that makes me sick to my stomach.
That's pretty bad.
I need some sort of like Tums or something. I'm going to be sick.
Some Pepto-Bismol.
And the mid-range wasn't there tonight. I was talking about how in our preview, my preview, unfortunately, I missed my guy Damon Dog to help me break that down.
That felt very kind of personal.
Well, I actually said our. I included you at first, and then I was like, "Damn, now I got to exclude."
It's almost like you did it for emphasis, but that's okay. Let's continue.
Yeah, no, I'm just a bad dude. But no, in my preview without Damon, I mentioned that Arizona needs to hunt the same kind of shots that they were trying to hunt. I know you can't really do the same thing against every team, but I think the game plan that they had against Utah, and to even an extent against BYU, I felt like the shot selection was a little bit better. But overall, I'm so disappointed in like the overall offensive rhythm, the overall offensive shot selection. There are times where the ball kind of stops moving. It kind of turns into high screen and roll with Jaden Bradley and Tobe. Oh, they stopped Tobe from rolling. Time to swing it to Caleb. Run the same thing with Vasar. Oh, Caleb got to drive and maybe get fouled. Like, that's the offense, right? I just described 60% of the possessions in this game, right? Like, so that's, I think, the biggest killer. It will be the biggest killer of this team if they do go out before they win the Natty.
Yeah, Kevin, to your point earlier, just looking on KenPom real quick, Arizona's 310th in the entire country of Division I basketball teams when it comes to three-point shooting from a percentage standpoint at 31.2%. That is out of 364 teams. They are 310th, Kevin. So that puts them on almost the bottom 50, which is pretty putrid, especially for a team the caliber of an Arizona, the level of an Arizona team, being a top 25 team all season. Which that's a question I want to ask as we get into the show a little bit later here. But in terms of 3-point attempts, they're shooting from a distribution of points standpoint, only 25% of their points are coming from 3-pointers, which is 336th out of 364, Kevin, which that doesn't feel sustainable, I don't think, for a really high-level team. The defense in KenPom is 17th in the country. The offense is 18th. So I realize that the defense is, it's an elite level defense, and you can get away with the poor shooting at times. But when you get to play these top level teams in the Big 12 tournament and in the actual tournament, it's not going to work like that. You're going to need to play that kind of defense and hit some tough shots. And if you're not going to be able to hit tough shots at all, that's going to be a huge, huge problem. And I've been saying it all season, Kevin, and I feel like the further we get into it, the more that you look right and I look wrong. Of like, I know,
I like that.
It's like it's like basketball and football guy says, where it's like Tommy will never tell his teams to stop shooting. He did it against Clemson, or he didn't do it against Clemson in the NCAA tournament. It cost us the game, 100%. I've been saying it, like, if Arizona wants to peak, they're going to need to keep shooting because they're going to need to find that shot. And it's getting to the point where it's like, maybe we just need an identity switch up. Like, maybe it's just like, oh, what if we slow it down?
Look,
I don't know.
Not to cut you off, but I think we're on to something here, because this team has, keep saying it, sorry to sound like a broken record, but this team has nicknamed itself the Gritty Boys, and they're trying to be the Warriors. The Warriors were not, I mean, they were a gritty team, right? They had the Draymond, the whole Zaza situation. You get my point here, though, right? Like, if you're going to be the Gritty Boys, be the damn Gritty Boys.
Yeah.
Don't fall in love with shooting the three. Fall in love with going in and banging around with dudes in the paint and getting foul calls and getting in dudes' mouths. Like, I don't know. I think, like, that's my thing, right? I think you're right on the money with, like, Tommy Lloyd kind of seems to be dead set on this is how we're going to win. And we're gonna adjust it game in, game out. We're gonna be flexible for things, but this is what we do here. And I feel like it's okay with different rosters to have to play a totally different way, right? And he's already done it once this year at the beginning when he swapped Krivas for Vesar because of injury. You had to change your offense
when
around.
He took Trey Townsend out and played both Vesar and Toby Awaka together, which that was a quick fix, but it feels like maybe that's, I'm not going to say that it's over there, but it's definitely like, maybe teams have adjusted to it a little bit, because it certainly doesn't look as good in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly concerning, Kevin. And I'm here. Devin all puts in the chat that Iowa State's in the trapezoid of excellence. Like, Arizona was in the trapezoid of excellence before the BYU game. I don't know if it changed after that. I would assume not, because that game really was just one or two bounces away from an Arizona W. But Utah blowout win for Arizona. And then this game, I mean, that might have dropped Arizona out, but it's like this, when you're in that same caliber, it's unacceptable to lose games like this, I feel like. And we've talked about it a little bit in Arizona losses, Kevin, but it does certainly feel like Tommy is like such a stick to his game plan guy, where it's like, this is what the scouting report told me. This is what the analytics are telling me is the best way to play against Iowa State. So I'm just going to continue to do so. And if we lose, we lose, and that's just how it is. But we think that the math will work itself out. And sometimes you just have to account for like momentum and like honestly, like, for lack of a better term, vibes. Like the vibes are not of a perimeter shooting basketball team right now.
I'm with you.
I think that, and here's another aspect of it. And yeah, they got a couple extra free throws tonight. I think that the refs were trying to give Arizona, at least make it not like a egregious loss. But this team is such a good free throw shooting team, Kevin. Get as many opportunities as possible. Pound it into the lane. Make the refs force calls. They should be shooting 20 free throws every single basketball game, without a question. So yeah, maybe they need a little bit of an identity change.
And you and I talked about this during the game, right, Damon, about how you were kind of coming around to the idea of like, hey, maybe they gotta abandon that three ball, because it's the definition of insanity. I said it earlier, I'll say it again, to know, hey, I'm bad at this, but I'm good at this. I'm gonna do the thing that I'm bad at, because I think maybe one time I could get good at it, as opposed to just going with what works. And I don't want to get too carried away here, because Iowa State, again, this is the Big 12, right? And the Big 12, hell of a conference. Honestly, you're playing tournament games night in, night out for the most part. And it's no shame and losing to an Iowa State team on the road when they're coming off of two losses. But the fashion, the vibes, to steal my guy Damon's word, tonight were awful. Not good vibes. And I think Erica Day popped in here and said that too as well. If you lose this game by like 5 to 10, or
I'm not mad.
Exactly. But the way that they lost this game, the way that Arizona played it throughout long stretches of this game,
totally
left you with a disgusting taste in your mouth. It just didn't give you a lot of encouragement that Arizona is making progress and trying to peak at the right time. We thought a couple of weeks ago, Damon, after Arizona had defeated Texas Tech, that maybe Arizona was rounding out into their best ball of the season at the perfect time. You lose,
I 100% thought that.
You lose the game to Kansas State. Question marks arise, but it's a road game. You shot 2 for 22. No way they could do that again, right?
100% what the thought process was.
And then you lose to Houston, which is like, again, no shame in that game.
Should have won that game though.
Wish it would have looked better. Wish you could have played a little bit better. But again, you're playing Houston. They're 16-1 in conference. I don't know if they've played since then, but they're a monster wagon. And fast forward to this Iowa State game, you lose to BYU. We've been over that a million times, right? But it just feels like they're almost taking slight steps backwards in some ways, Damon, and you could not be doing it at a worse time. Sarukas here in the chat, thanks for joining us tonight, says, Martinez seemed to be the only one with good vibes tonight. And I tweeted that out. I said, oh, we got a Conrad Martinez spotting.
Christ, dude, he played so much. 12 minutes of Conrad tonight. Yeah, hey, Kevin, let's play a game. How many assists did Conrad Martinez have tonight?
1. 0. Damn.
A goose egg from your 5'8" point guard, who that's generous. You need to be getting assists if he's going to be playing out there. No. 1 turnover that was a bad turnover, 0 assists. I'm not trying to crucify the guy, but if he's going to play 12 minutes, he's got to bring something to the table. That's why.
He did bring energy at least.
Real quick, I'm looking at his plus minus. He's a +6 in a 17-point loss, so I'll give him a little bit of credit there. You could say that he did bring some energy, but yeah, I mean, you're not in a good spot if Conrad's going to have to play. I'll tell you that much. That's a sign of bad things are happening. That's the sign of the vibes are bad. I think that's our new trigger.
It's the pendulum, right? Conrad Martinez playing, Arizona's either really blowing him out, or Arizona is like, we need a shot of energy. No one's playing well. Let's get Conrad in there, let him fly around, see what he can do.
Yeah.
It was, the vibes were so bad. I think, we can talk about this later in the show, I guess, Damon, but I kind of want to tease it a little bit. Damon and I, vibes were very high coming into this game, by the way. We had hung out with our guy Connor and our guy Noah, even Bo Brock at Extra Innings Fest. Shout out to
Bo
all
Brock's
the people.
Lovely wife, Haley.
Yes, as well. I was kind of just naming the people that people might, associate with, but you're right. Connor's dad was also there while we're doing that. That's the whole group.
Legend.
Now you're all caught up and involved. You can, remember all the names now in the story. But we were there. Damon took some swings in the batting cage, even got dusted by Noah on the pitching mound a little bit. But yeah, no, it was a ton of fun, right? And we ride into this. We show up at the office and we're thinking, oh yeah, we had a great time at Extra Innings Fest. Had to leave a little bit early, unfortunately, to come watch this game that we thought, okay, at least it's gonna be a banger. At least it's about to be a banger of a game.
Totally.
Man.
And look at us now.
Look at us now. We had some sad lady singing vocals at the beginning of this song because Arizona couldn't figure out an offense. And also because Iowa State just absolutely shot every light in the state of Iowa out tonight. And it was
which there's not many. Because it's the backwoods. It's like there's not a lot of people.
Lots of one stoplight towns probably, right?
Yeah.
In Iowa.
You get it.
Yeah, no, I do get it. But yeah, no, the vibes could not have been higher coming into the game, and then Arizona delivered that absolute stinker of a performance, Damon.
Kevin,
and now
I'll leave you with this, and then we're gonna get into a break here. But will Arizona be in the top 25 on Monday? Come Monday morning, they were at 22. Going in tonight's game, they got blown out by number 9 Iowa State, who you assume will go up to around number 7. I think, we're still of the opinion Arizona is absolutely one of the top 25 teams in the country. BYU, a really good team. That game goes one way that is unfortunate. You know, like Arizona easily could have won that BYU game, but that's a ranked opponent or a borderline ranked opponent. You look at Houston, which is one of the best teams in the entire country. It's, you know, those losses. It's hard to be like, oh, Arizona has so many losses with those two being in the consideration there. But Arizona 22 dropped 3 spots last week in the AP poll, 21 in the coaches poll, dropped 3 spots as well in that one. So Kevin, what do you think? Are they falling out of the top 25?
Man, I'm trying to do some like quick like math over here about it, because BYU just blew out West Virginia today. And they also have a recent victory over Arizona. So if Arizona loses this game like they did, if you're the AP poll people, you kind of have to put BYU ahead of them, right? I mean, that's the logic that they're probably using
I mean, they have a better record, right? Overall.
Yeah, 19-8 now. Yeah. But
so
yeah,
I think that they probably would. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I think Arizona literally falls to either 25 or they fall out. Like, if it feels that way, right? They shouldn't. They should probably fall to like 24.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel like it should be a drastic change, but I really do think that they probably will fall out of it. I think they'll probably be like 26, 27, like right on the outside looking in. But they've done this to themselves. They've shot themselves in the foot. Seltcat saying that I'm saying that the refs were pro Arizona. I don't believe I did say that. I just was saying that, you know, there was a couple whistles here and there where I felt like, you know, Arizona was getting the benefit because it just, you know, you don't want Iowa State to be up 30 points. But Arizona shot 27 free throws tonight. Like, it's not like they weren't getting any whistles. That's all I was trying to say. You know, I listen. I framed the whole show after the refs on the BYU game and talked about it for the first 30 minutes. So.
Got beat up for it too.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I stood in the pocket. Don't let's not act like I was maybe I got wobbled a couple times, Kevin, but there was never I didn't even get knocked down. I don't even think I got knocked down. That fight went the distance.
Damn, got to the scorecards. Hey, that's how it gets done, Damon. That's how it gets done.
It absolutely does. But yeah, I think Arizona drops out. You said they should be 24. What do you think?
What do I think actually happens? I think they're probably unranked.
Yeah.
Just because of the way that they were treated earlier in this year when something kind of similar happened, I feel like if you're already at 22, yes, you got beat by the number 9 team in the nation, so really no shame in that game at all. But the AP don't care about that. So I feel like Arizona unfortunately drops out and has to get their way back in. But it might not all be bad. The basketball and football guy says they kind of hope they do fall out of the rankings because Arizona's better when they're unranked.
It's just kind of crazy because like Arizona's still second in the Big 12. They're 13-5. They're tied with Texas Tech, who's number 10. Iowa State's going to move up to like 7-8 range, right? And they're going to be ahead of them overall. BYU's probably going to drop or pop out ahead of them, and they're a ranked opponent as well. And Arizona has a better record in conference than they do. So it's just like it's a weird dilemma that it's like, of course, dude, teams lose in the Big 12, except Houston, which is, I mean, they're just unbelievable. But teams lose in the Big 12. And, you know, it's going to be weird if Arizona's unranked, but they're in the Big 12, they're second place. Like that's tough for me to wrap my head around. I understand the non-conference was horrible, but yeah, that's a weird spot to be in, Kevin.
Yeah, and when you put it like that, with them being the position that they are in the conference and also maybe being unranked, I do feel like they try to keep them in the rankings at that. Like, maybe they just swap BYU and Arizona right there. Go 22 for 25. Swap those two. You do it. I don't know if Mississippi State and St. Mary's won today.
Mississippi State baseball didn't win today.
Hey-oh. But, yeah, no, Arizona baseball doing the thing, downing the Bulldogs?
Yep.
Bulldogs, down the Bulldogs there. But, no, yeah, like I was saying.
Add them to the list of swagless universities.
No, okay, I'll agree with you. For people that don't know, me and Damon kind of often go back and forth about whether or not certain universities are swagless.
To that
I usually
Iowa
defend
State
swagless.
Towards the top of this rankings. If there are any Iowa State fans in here, apologies.
Yeah.
But Iowa State is like,
real here.
I think Iowa State number 1 swagless university. I'm talking power programs. I'm not talking. We're not talking. You know,
number
big
1
sky schools. Yeah, Iowa State, Wake Forest.
Put Wake Forest above Iowa State, man.
Nah, Wake Forest.
Their jerseys are so
Mississippi
bad.
State. They're horrible. They use Times New Roman on their
Yeah, I
jerseys.
don't know if I can go with Iowa State being number 1 on the rankings, but this is for context, people at home. This is kind of like what me and Damon do back and forth with the swagless rankings.
Welcome to our world.
But I'm with you on Iowa State. Iowa State is kind of swagless.
Give me your top 3 then.
Oh, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
You need a little bit more time to think.
Yeah, I do. We should do a power rankings of the most swagless schools. Like on an off-season show,
we should do like a 4-man council of like get Eric and Totri on it too.
Do like
we do a collaboration where we all have to agree on like a 10 team top 10 team list.
It's like that photo of the 2 gangbangers holding the bandanas together from opposite sets, and it's like yeah.
That would be a hilarious like piece of video content that we could do. So like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put that in our content notes right now.
Yeah.
Kevin.
See, I'm actually with you, Devin. Ra 1. I'm with you. I don't know about 1, but Damon, we do have more to get to on the other side of this break. We're gonna actually show y'all Damon Dog hitting in the batting cages. We got Damon Dog hitting in the. I have film of Damon Dog hitting in the batting cages.
But before we get to that, I have a really, really important question to ask you, Kevin. We're going to do that right after here.
You know, Damon, one thing that I'm going to partake in after this loss is some cornbread THC gummies. My favorite thing about cornbread THC gummies is that they are historic. America's first ever USDA organic THC gummy, and their mission at Cornbread is to improve your quality of life with the highest quality hemp. Your healthy happy hour, finally got that right, usually it tongue ties me, is a natural, healthier way to experience a carefree moment. Cornbread's THC gummies offer a balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. And like I said, it's America's first. And anytime you got America's first something, you want to be on the right side of history with that. You want to join the movement, right? So get yourself some Cornbread hemp THC gummies. Just 10 milligrams of the gummy should be just the right dose. Cornbread uses no harsh solvents like petrochemicals and industrial acids, unlike most hemp THC products. Farm Bill compliant and legal for adults over the age of 21. If you're looking for a healthier, happy way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give Cornbread Hemp a try. They've created the first ever USDA THC organic gummy that's 100% legal. And for our listeners, you can use code PHNX for 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/PHNX and use promo code PHNX at checkout.
Folks, we are T-minus 1 week from Phoenix Raceway NASCAR returning to the Valley.
Vroom, vroom.
March 7th through 8th, or 7th through 9th, I should say. Sunday is going to be race day, a week from tomorrow, but they're, they got the, I forget what they call it, but when they set the order of the track, they're doing that on Saturday. There's some festivities on Friday. It's a whole big weekend, and it's going to be so much fun. You know what? I'm actually unfortunately gonna be out of town, but I totally would be at this if I was in town.
We gotta start calling you Mr. Vacations like Max.
What's crazy is you're saying that about me, but I was
work trips.
doing work,
usually work trips,
and like working harder than I do when I'm in Phoenix. And then also I'm staying on Saturday to do our Kansas postgame instead of going on vacation, which is the most unmaxed thing of all time. But that's neither here nor there. What is here is the Phoenix Raceway weekend here for NASCAR. They're going to be going 200 miles per hour. All the big names are going to be out there, and it's the best class fan experience the whole family won't forget. I was out there last year. It was a ton of fun. Good vibes out there. Good little time to, maybe crack a cold one if that's what you're into. If you're trying to find a good party vibe, it's a great place to do it. Just make sure you bring your sunscreen. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com. That's phoenixraceway.com. Javier says, I hope Indiana throws the bag to Tommy Lloyd, so he leaves.
Devin All asks Javier in response if he believes that he's a bad coach. Javier justifies it by saying, I'm not a fan of his coaching style. He never hold his player accountable.
How would we have any idea about that?
And early exits in the tournaments,
happened one time.
Yeah, I think the thing with Tommy Lloyd.
We criticized Tommy at an earlier portion of this game, Kevin, but you're not. I mean, he never holds his players accountable.
We have
no idea what's being said behind closed doors, what those conversations look like. I feel like that's an insane thing to act like we can project what's happening. And early exits in the tournament, yeah, we lost one first round game to Princeton with the worst team, and I'd say the most one-dimensional team Tommy's had where they really couldn't do anything. Like they were an offensive team, but if they were going to miss shots and Princeton was going to make things hard on like a Tabellis, for example, they weren't going to win that basketball game, and they just couldn't play defense really at all. So yeah, I mean, I don't really agree with that, to be honest with you. Tommy Lloyd's been in 3 tournaments, Kevin, all 3 of the years he's been here, and 2 of them have been Sweet 16s. Yeah, Arizona loses in those games, but it's like they're Sweet 16s still. That's not like a thing that every team does. Two Sweet 16s in 3 years. You know what I mean?
I do, and I kind of want to remind people, like, if you were around when I wasn't, but I'm saying if all of us were around for Lute Olson, right?
I was for a little bit.
No, but I meant the beginning.
Certainly.
Beginning of Lute Olson.
Hey,
people would have
Dennis makes sure he tells me all about it.
People would have yeah, facts. People would have wanted Lute fired, which sounds crazy knowing all we know now, correct? So I feel like
Is that true? Necessarily?
I feel like these fans,
because he kind of got Sean.
I feel like these fans,
he got Sean Elliott right away, and they made a Final Four pretty early on.
They made a Final Four like 3 years in, I think, right?
Yeah,
it was.
But this is year 4. That's not that much different than year 3?
No, I know, but that's kind of my point, though, right? Is that like if like I think fans are a little too impatient with Tommy Lloyd.
I think our fans are, and we've talked about it a million times, Kevin, on this show. I say it all the time. Arizona fans have extremely high standards, and they absolutely should. This is one of the 10 best programs in the country. Our standards should be high. But that being said, Tommy Lloyd is a first-time head coach. This is 4th season. He's one of the winningest head coaches in that time period in the history of college basketball. Like, he's going to take some lumps. Maybe it takes a second, but I believe in him long term. It didn't work out with Miller, but like you're telling me that like year 2 of Sean Miller, I think it was year 2, where Derek Williams has that insane tournament run. Derek Williams is the best player in college basketball. You're telling me you didn't have full trust in Sean Miller to get the job done eventually? Like, I just feel like it's KW says Tommy's not a good coach and that he stinks. Like, it's just not the truth, man. I'm sorry, but I just think Tommy, maybe he needs to grow a little bit, but like we can't do this after every loss. We can't do this after every loss, Kevin.
Hey, man, and look, I'll say right now, like we also can't do this after every missed recruit either. Like me and Erica actually were talking about this on PHNX Puffs, ironically, 2 nights ago, but actually no, last night. But like with all the stuff that goes into college sports now, it's really skewed how you can judge certain things that ordinarily you would fry a coach for, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying winning or losing is an NIL thing, but what I am saying is like some of the things that people criticize Tommy Lloyd for, we either don't have access to actually verify or deny, or it's just stuff that's not actually in his control, right? Like the recruiting side of things is what I'm referencing specifically with that. And I think
you don't think recruiting's in his control?
I think me and Eric, like my
I mean, there's
my
independent variables there at play, but it's not as if he has no control.
I'm not saying he doesn't have any control, but I'm saying like recruitment ultimately now comes a lot less down to the coach, in my opinion, and more down to what the school can offer you as a player.
But I think Arizona basketball can be competitive from an NIL
and I'm
standpoint.
not saying that it can't. But what I am saying is that like if let's say Tommy Lloyd loses out on a recruit, right? Just a random recruit. Not going to name one, not going to jinx nobody, right? Random recruit. He loses out on the recruit.
I was actually going to bring that up, Kevin. So I'm going to just say the name, Koa Pete. If Arizona doesn't get Koa Pete, the panic button absolutely is on the table. There's no question about that. It's on the table,
but like my thing with it is like
I'm not saying it's over.
But my thing with it is, let's say they don't get Koa Pete. We have no idea if it's, let's say, and this is what me and Erica were talking about specifically. If it's not Arizona and it's not Houston, we don't know who could come over the top with a bag because they missed out on. No, but you know what I'm saying. We don't know who
it would be.
No, it wouldn't be them because my point is
it would be them.
Damon, my point is though, if it wasn't Arizona or Houston, to me it would indicate that some other school outside, not involved, came over the top with a bag, maybe because they missed out on a 5-star. So I'm saying it's just so much stuff now with recruiting specifically.
ASU can put $1 million on the table for Koa Pete. They can figure out a way to do that.
Fine.
For an Arizona guy that's a 5-star like that they've had rumors of being able to get. You don't think Quaidance and Sandin are making a bag? Like I think that
no, yeah,
that would be the team. I mean, but that's disaster scenario.
and that's neither here nor there though. But I think like it is disaster scenario. But I think in general, with him losing recruits and just coaches in general losing recruits, I'm always let me see what happened with the scenario. Like, can we find out what happened there before we're like, oh, Tommy, how could you let Koa Pete go? It's like, well, Tommy didn't have the coins in his pocket that this other school did when it was coming down to it.
But here's the thing about a guy like a Tommy Lloyd, a coach like Tommy Lloyd is, I feel like he attracts a certain type of player like a Carter Bryant who, is a really high recruit, but isn't necessarily even demanding to like start when he gets on campus, right? That's why Sandin felt like a weird fit, and it made sense that he moved on, right? Because it's like that felt like a dude who kind of wanted to chuck shots. And I feel like we've seen that at ASU. But Carter Bryant's like a dude who wants to develop. And I think that, you see that mentality from him, right? So it's, to me, I think Tommy automatically attracts the special type of personalities that maybe are bought in for a little bit more long term. But, with that being said, like, I do think that it would be pretty damning if Arizona can't land Koa Pete because he's an Arizona guy.
I'm with
it's just like Arizona's always landed that guy. Always, 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 always. So it's like this is not the time to stop doing that. And if the great Arizona coaches have passed, Sean Miller, Lute Olson, if they're losing those guys, or if they're competing to get those guys, they're not losing them, I should say. So I think Arizona definitely needs to get Koa Pete.
I'm with you. And for the record, I'm not saying that I don't think that it should be a non-negotiable, right? But I'm saying if they weren't to get him, I don't think that it's like, oh, Tommy can't recruit. Tommy's red panic button for Tommy Lloyd. I'm like, I don't know. And I kind of tweeted this I think last week actually when I was in St. Louis. I tweeted about how in general, I'm using a broad brush here, ladies and gentlemen. Players that choose inferior basketball situations for more money over playing for a winning coach like Tommy Lloyd in a system that will make you a better basketball player, like a Carter Bryant or Henry Vasar have chosen to do, you know what? Forget them. Fit over everything else. Like, fit over talent to me. Because if you have a player that, like, let's say Koa Pete says, oh, they gave me the bag, I'm just going to go over there. All right, Koa, that's your priorities.
Dude, I'm with you on that. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Erica says, that's what you're trying to say. I honestly didn't really interpret it that way, but I think that Tommy does look for those developmental players. Let's run through the roster real quick. Like, I genuinely think that that's majority of the team when you look at it. Like, Tobia Waka, he fit a need, right? Like, Arizona needed that guy because they didn't have like a tough, kind of versatile big man defender. But you look at it, Jaden Bradley, I know he was a high recruit, but he didn't really do much at Alabama. He was a talented player, but he was a guy that needed to develop, and he has done so under Tommy Lloyd. Came in as a bench player, became a starter, and earned that role in the tournament, right? You look at, an Anthony Del Orso, he's changed his game up a little bit. He was taking more off the dribble stuff. Now he's more of a catch and shoot guy this season. You look at KJ Lewis, who is not a high recruit, and not a guy that Arizona always takes, like 85th ranked recruit in the country or something like that. Conrad Martinez, Henry Vasar, he's been a developmental guy. So I think that is the direction Tommy Lloyd goes in. I just think that you need to mix in blue chippers with that, and that's how elite programs are formed.
I agree with
the
blue
have the
chipper
mix
part,
of the role players that are there, have been there for a long time, and do exactly what they need to do. And you need to have a mix of those Koa Petes mixed in, the Braden Burries mixed in, and that's how you win. Like, that's what Arizona did with Aaron Gordon back in the day, Stanley Johnson, put him on experienced teams, and Arizona was incredible back then. So that's kind of my like, I think Tommy sees it that way, and I think that his plan for that is the right way.
I actually
but I just want to say real quick, if you're watching with our streaming partners, head on over to gophnx.com. We're going to continue this party over there, and we've gotten on this Tommy Lloyd tangent, which we were not really going to talk about, but I do think it's been a really, really good conversation.
I also think that we're making the same point now. I think we've argued for so long that we're making the same point because that was my point though. My point was that you look for players that fit, and then you find the blue chippers. But my thing with the blue chippers is, and I think maybe this is where we differ just slightly, but not too much. I don't want to get a blue chipper just to say that Tommy Lloyd got a blue chipper. Like, I don't really care if it's a 5-star guy that doesn't really fit what Tommy Lloyd wants to do, but Tommy Lloyd wants to make the fans happy who are impatient. So he's just going to go get the guy, spend the money on the guy, and maybe he doesn't even help winning, right? There were fans, right, that I think wanted Caleb Love gone, right, in lieu of a different opportunity.
Shannon,
right? Yeah, in lieu of Shannon, right? But that would have been awful. And I know that's hindsight.
Love's a lot better than Shannon.
But my point is, Caleb Love is a guy that Tommy Lloyd knows fits into the scheme that he wants to do. It hasn't worked out this year because Caleb Love has not been able to find a consistent shot. But I'd rather have Tommy Lloyd kill it in the transfer portal, like I feel like he does and will continue to do, and maybe every once in a while pick up a Carter Bryant. Look, Trey Townsend.
Look at the transfer portal. What do you mean killing it?
Well, I'm saying like Toby Awaka, great, awesome.
Yeah, but the big get has been about as big of a disaster, a big of a bust that a transfer prospect had in all of college basketball this year.
I hear you, but I guess what I'm saying is, like, I'd rather have him do that and then find a guy like Carter Bryant every once in a while who's committed to winning and has that kind of pedigree than just Tommy going star chasing. Because I think that's how you get caught up in like, because if you look at college basketball right now, it's not one and dones. Like, it's not. It's not the 5-star dudes that are just carrying. It's transfer dudes. So
that's why I think that that's why I think a Koa Pete, like, you're in the Big 12. It's an athletic as hell conference, right? I think
tough too.
Yep, Koa Pete, tough dude, athletic as hell. I think that raises your ceiling as a team. But I agree with you in the fact that, like, experience wins out most of the time. That's why I think that, like, a starting lineup with 3 experienced dudes. Say you could keep a KJ Lewis. Say you could keep a Jaden Bradley. Say you could keep a Henry Vasar or a Toby Awaka, either one of them, if not both, right? And then you add Koa Pete and Braden Burries to that lineup. You're all of a sudden you're talking about 2 guys who have insane upsides, insane ceilings, and then you have 3 guys who are been at Arizona, been thrown into the fire, know exactly the way Tommy wants to play. Like, I think that that's the way that a team gets to the top. And maybe this year is just 1 year too short of that. But I do feel like we find ourselves saying that often too. And we have a lot of this season left to play, but we were talking about obviously the future of Tommy Lloyd, and that was kind of the topic at hand. KW says a great coach doesn't need blue chippers. Not everybody's Brad Stevens, brother. Not everybody's at Butler taking 2 stars and 1 stars to the back-to-back national championship games.
Hey, real quick, everybody, mark down the timestamp for Damon praising a Boston Celtics icon in Brad Stevens.
I hate when you do this.
Mark it down right now.
I really am reasonable. I just, Tatum's corny, bro. I'm sorry. I know we were talking about it earlier and you're mad at that and you think that makes me deranged, but that's just facts. And other facts are Brad Stevens is one of the best college coaches I've ever seen, a great NBA coach, but a phenomenal NBA president. But getting back to just like the topic, like, Brad Stevens is, he was taking nobodies to the tournament championship, but like Coach K wasn't.
Calipari wasn't.
Like, who are the guys that have been consistent? Tom Izzo, like, he's getting blue chippers. That all of these top coaches get blue chippers. That's why they're top coaches. That's how it works. So I disagree. I think you do need blue chippers to win consistently.
I also want to say, to address Javier's comment, that to him, Lloyd has never gotten the best out of his players. Look at what Pitino has done. And Rick Pitino is a hell of a coach who does maximize a lot of his talent. But I also feel like, you don't think Benedict Mathurin maximized his talent? At, like, lottery pick Benedict Mathurin didn't?
Yeah.
You don't think that
Christian Koloko?
You don't think Pella Larson, who is going to be cashing NBA checks for a little bit now,
Keshon Johnson,
in large part due to Tommy Lloyd,
Keshon Johnson career year.
Yeah, I feel like I just feel like Tommy Lloyd does get the most out of his players. Maybe not every single one, but who gets the most out of every single individual person? Because you can't. There's the human element to things, right? Like, I've said this multiple times this season. Tommy Lloyd can coach the hell out of this team, but if they go out there and shoot 2 for 22 from 3, that's not Tommy Lloyd's fault. Now, maybe it's Tommy Lloyd's fault for not changing the direction of the offense, like we talked about, I think, in the second segment of this pod here. But I just feel like the idea that Tommy doesn't develop guys, or the idea that Tommy doesn't coach guys, I feel like is incorrect. I just don't feel like it's real. Like I don't think that's a real thing. Now I do think there are guys, and you can do this with every coach. You can go through guys' rosters and point out guys that didn't get the most out of every. Oh, he didn't get the most out of that guy. He didn't get, but you're just not going to shoot 100%. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Townsend and Boswell are the two guys that you could say that are the only ones really, in my opinion, that like I think there were higher expectations than what we ended up seeing out of them.
And
right?
even Caleb Love, I think he's
maybe Creasa, but like he just wasn't good. You don't blame Tommy for that.
And even Caleb Love,
I just want to bring up with Devin All's comment that he brought up earlier. They got 3 4-stars last year. He said Iowa State student with 2 and 3 stars. They got 3 4-stars last year. It wasn't a good overall recruiting class ranking, but the year before that, they had the 8th recruiting class in the entire country. This 2025 class they have right now is 15th in the country. They're not a team that's under recruiting. They're recruiting very talented basketball players.
Yeah, Damon, and I don't know. I just feel like the Tommy Lloyd thing, like I guess we started this conversation by saying we can't react like this after every loss. And then we got on the recruiting thing. But I really do feel like we can't act like this after every time Tommy Lloyd loses and it doesn't look pretty. Like I
tweeted it. When was the last time that happened?
Get ready to learn Big 12 ball. Because there's going to be games where you lose and it doesn't look pretty and you're like, I don't know what this team is anymore.
Kevin, it's the 3rd to last game of the season. It was the first time we got blown out in conference the entire year.
I'm with you.
No, I know you are, but I'm just saying like think about that for a second.
Yeah, it was ugly.
It was totally ugly, but I'm saying that's not a bad thing. I feel like other than Houston, every other team has been blown out already. That's the first time that we're second to last in the conference. Like, are we supposed to? I don't think you can just freak out about that. You know what I mean? Like they've. But here's where I'll transition it into what I wanted to ask you earlier, Kevin. They've left no room for error in these final 2 games. I think, and maybe this comes back to bite us, and maybe they, some, asshole ASU fan can clip this. But I'm looking past that game for a second.
All right.
Because Arizona's at home.
Okay.
Have to win that one. What's up, BC? That being said, do you have to beat Kansas, Kevin?
Yes.
Do you have to beat Kansas now? Kansas just lost to Texas Tech. They choked in a game against Texas Tech. I mean, they won the second half, but they lost by 5 to Texas Tech at home in a game that they were pretty decent favorites to win. They're a team that's reeling. Like they've lost a lot of games recently. Does Arizona have to beat Kansas?
I think I know I just nodded yes, and I think I actually verbally said yeah, but I have to feels a bit like hyperbolic to me.
You'd be 20 and 11 if you don't, hypothetically.
Well, but I'm saying like have to, like ultimately if they lose it, they're still, you know what I mean? Like they're still there, like they're still alive, they're still in it. Like so have to no, but to quote our guy SPG QB1, it's a big time gotta have it game. Like it's a big time game that you absolutely need to have. Yeah, so it might not be a must win, but shout out to our Suns pod and SPG Stephen Pridgeon Goner with it's a gotta have it.
Yeah, I mean I do think it kind of is a must win just in terms of momentum, because there have been teams that have swung it before, where it's like, wow, this team's reeling at the end of the season, like, and they completely turned it around in the tournament. Like they've just completely found a new blood. But I'll be honest, I don't get the vibes that like a Tommy Lloyd team would be able to do that. As much as I have been pumping Tommy up, I don't. That's not. I wouldn't have confidence that like Arizona loses all the tough games that they play down the stretch of their schedule, and then they go into the tournament, and all of a sudden everything's all figured out. So I think the momentum would be down and I wouldn't be feeling great about it.
I think, and okay, I guess I have a question for you then. If they lose to Kansas, what changes about this basketball team? And if they win, what changes about this basketball team? And because
you could technically say that for every single game.
Okay, that's fair. I guess my point is at the end of the year, right? If you lose this game to Kansas, and this is kind of to your point about Tommy Lloyd, Arizona's not drastically changing anyway, right? So yes, it is a game you really, 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 really want to have, but ultimately it doesn't really, you know what I'm saying? It's a seeding thing.
Here's what it changes. Well, it changes that, But here's what I think it changes. If you lose that game, that Kansas game, you could argue Baylor on the road, but I think you can make the argument that Arizona's lost every one of their tough games in a month time period, Kevin. That would be Kansas, BYU, Iowa State, Houston, at Kansas State, and then you can say at Baylor was a tough one as well. But that's 5 of 6 that you've lost in tough games, and I think that is somewhat of a referendum on the state of the team at that point. So I think that you need to see a bounce back there big time. That's and you can disagree, but that's just my opinion on it. I think that Arizona has to show some life there, show a heartbeat, or else I do worry about this team's chances in the Big 12 tournament and its chances ultimately in the March Madness tournament as well.
Damon, no matter what happens, to be honest with you, I'm looking at the KenPom schedule. Well, we will always have December 18th through Saturday, February 8th. We will always have that stretch where Arizona defeated everybody except for Texas Tech, and they even got the revenge game against Texas Tech in that W. So no matter what happens with this offense, and maybe Caleb Love can light a fire in the tournament, we will always have that little stretch there from December to February. But no, jokes aside, yeah, Damon, like you do got to win. You do have to win it, right? I just feel like I'm not going to be on the post game here kind of being like, oh, how could Arizona go into Kansas and lose? You had to win this one, unless it looks awful.
But
right?
Kansas it hasn't been the fortress that it typically is.
That doesn't mean it's not a hard place to play, though.
Totally, but I just think that it's absolutely a tough place to play. So is Baylor, but Arizona's a better team than Baylor, and they showed it. I think that it has to be similar against Kansas. Has to be similar because Kansas just lost to Tech, and I think Arizona and Tech are pretty comparable in terms of caliber of team, despite Arizona's recent struggles.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on Arizona kind of being a similar team to kind of Texas Tech in a way. But Damon Dog, I don't, unless you have a ton more to say.
I think it's going to do it on our basketball coverage here.
Yeah, because we do.
Thanks for tuning in for our basketball post game area of this, Kevin. Before we move on to talking about the most important news of the day, most important news of the night, I do think we should touch on baseball here for a second. We teased it at the top of the show. Arizona beats number 1 Texas A&M. They now beat number 18 Mississippi State for their second straight ranked win, and I believe that gives Arizona 7 straight wins here on the season. And obviously Arizona didn't start off the best, having lost to Ole Miss by 1 run, having lost to a ranked Clemson team by 11, which was a nasty loss, and then losing to Louisville after going up 1-0 by 12 there. So that was a tough stretch there, but ever since then they haven't lost a game. And they gear up for number 3 Tennessee tomorrow, Kevin. So can they get 3 ranked wins against 3 SEC opponents in a row? That would be pretty special.
Damon, we did miss something today.
Yes, I was just giving. Listen.
Oh no, I was just saying. I was saying it was an Arizona sports equinox. It was an equinox.
If Arizona women's basketball beat the number 1 team in the country, I would have mentioned it first. I just want to make that very clear. But yes, here's one thing I do want to highlight from that, because Kevin, I believe you had taken off from the Sweet Innings Festival that we will get into a little bit later here.
Damon stayed to cop that sweet hat.
On the Arizona Athletics Twitter account, did you see this post?
Which one?
Did you see this post?
There's a lot of those from the account.
Oh. After Arizona women's basketball went into McHale North and took down.
Was it the one that I actually reposted?
And took down Arizona State.
Oh, no.
The Arizona Athletics account tweeted, the verified Arizona Athletics account tweeted, Kevin, until next year, McHale North, with a graphic that said, not our house, but we know our way around.
That's incredible.
In a picture of the game from Arizona women's basketball versus ASU. That was pretty special, Kevin. That tweet was like, me, Kevin, and that tweet is like everything that I live for in life. The fact that an actual team account tweeted that and it wasn't like us that tweeted that, like that's something that I would tweet from our beat account. But you could just go ahead and inject that directly into my veins, Kevin, because they literally called it McHale North from the Arizona Athletics account. Yeah, thank you to Arizona women's basketball for giving us that special moment.
Track won today as well. Baseball, women's basketball, Arizona men's basketball. What?
Of course, it's the one that, is
What are we doing?
It's gonna ruin everybody's night.
I thought you were gonna talk about this tweet, Damon. That I thought also was right up your alley. 4 hours ago, they tweeted, "Chat, we are winning so much today. Admin can't keep up." Well, Arizona men's basketball gave admin all the damn time they needed to do whatever the hell work they had to do.
Final period.
Final. Just give them the score. We don't even no more work for the admin.
Score. My favorite score graphics are the ones where they put the score like in the tiniest little font in like the corner where it's hard to see.
Softball over UCLA.
Oh, really?
Dude, it was a true equinox today. That's crazy.
How did I not know about
I think that? Swimming did. Erica, can we get some live fact checking? Did swimming also compete today?
Oh my God, I didn't know about. See, that's on me, guys. That one's actually on me. I was gonna bring up women's basketball, but the softball. I mean, we beat Lil Bro.
Yeah, Lil Bro.
In extras.
Lil Bro from up north. The other Lil Bro from up north.
Number 10 Arizona beats number 4 UCLA. That's electric. Thank you, Erica, for throwing that our way. I really here's the thing. I'm pretty locked in on softball. It's been a tough week for your boy here.
It's been a busy week for us over at the AZ Wildcats podcast.
I'm struggling. I've been just on just go mode.
Are you going to the gym tonight, Damon?
I have to. It's bad. But that being said, I was unaware of this softball game, and that is absolutely electric. I hate UCLA softball. Just like that's the crazy thing about UCLA is their two best sports are our two best sports. So that's why the rivalry is solid there, because Arizona's two most competitive sports from a national relevancy scale are easily men's basketball and softball. It's not even close. And
big time.
UCLA is the exact same way. So it's gives for a good little back and forth there. UCLA also, to be fair to them, they have some pretty good other sports there. Like their baseball program is really good. So is ours, to be fair. But UCLA also has I bet you their women's soccer team is like nasty or something.
I bet UCLA got the damn nastiest field hockey team west of the Mississippi. Swimming. Oh yeah, all the warm weather, affluent kind of sports.
But they're good for us, at least in that regard. But yeah, Kevin, I think talking about a little bit of softball there are innings in softball, Kevin.
There are innings. There are innings. Sometimes there are extras.
Such as tonight. Extra innings.
And extra innings for the Wildcats as well.
Damon and Kevin happen to be at the Extra Innings Festival. As you can see here, get a little bit of a closer look on my hat. It's a nice it says Extra Innings Fest 2025 on it. It's a sick hat that I bought myself there. My guy, Noah Wolbrick, he bought himself a Casey Musgraves hoodie. And Kevin, we had an electric time out there at Tempe Beach Park.
Just laughing about our guy, Noah Wolbrick, yes. who is benevolently obsessed with Casey Musgraves.
He's in love.
Yeah, he is a lover boy for Casey Musgraves. But yeah, no, Damon, you got into some activities at this Extra Innings Fest. They had a ton of great food, great drinks.
They did. And let me just start off by saying,
venues and stuff.
I gotta set the scene here. There's some like baseball type drills, as Kevin alludes to, and you can throw and get your miles per hour.
We're going this direction.
You can hit and off the batting cage and see what you got. And I just I have to preface this, Kevin, because this is I don't care. You're gonna try to be like, oh, look at my guy here. I'm not sleeping tonight thinking about my throws today. The arm is in a bad spot. Kevin, when I was walking in this building for this postgame show, I thought to myself at one point, I was like, should I join an intramural baseball league? Because I got to get this. I was like, I got to get this arm back in shape.
Got to get it warmed up.
No, that had me rethinking some things and contemplating some things for sure. But not my best performance from a throwing standpoint.
Well, wait. I thought you were going to go in the direction of you're not going to be able to sleep at night because you had to sign a waiver to do this stuff.
Oh,
and it makes sense.
Insane.
It makes sense to have to sign a waiver. But my guy Damon Dog said, wait, I got to go spend 90 seconds and I can't. Because it wasn't against people at Extra Innings who were just trying to, save themselves. Damon just loves ball. Damon just wanted to go throw ball, hit ball. He didn't want to have to go fill out tablet, see ball, then throw ball, then see ball, then hit ball. He just wanted to get after it. So continue your little monologue there, Damon.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, after my putrid throwing performance, I had to do my best in hitting. And you know, I felt like there was a lot on the line for me, Kevin, in terms of legacy. And without further ado, why don't we watch what happened?
Yeah, we're gonna break it down here. This is Damon Dog getting some rips.
No batting gloves.
No batting gloves, like a man.
Long sleeve shirt, pants.
Right back from whence it came. Bink. Oh.
And that was a rip. Pretty sure that's all we need to see there, Kevin. I think we can. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, decent hacks after that. First two really came off the bat hard. But then I told you beforehand, Kevin. I said, did I not? I walked straight up to you and I said, my concern here is I'm going to start coming around the baseball, hitting choppers to the third base side. And you know, I had a couple good swings to start, which, you know, surprised me because I thought I was going to need a warm up pitch or two. And then I unfortunately, you know, I started changing my approach there, and yeah. But that Kevin, can you play it one more time? I want to see that second swing again.
That
actually was
Damon.
that actually was pretty fire.
I would love to play this one more time.
That second swing was
what was
better
going through your head right now?
I mean, I honestly, like, I didn't think much of it. This was kind of weaker than it. I feel like it looked. This one was a good hack though.
That was beautiful. That's getting out into left. That's going right over the third base.
That's enough. That's enough. We don't need to see the rest. We don't need to see the rest.
We got one more though. What do you mean we don't got to see that? It's a lot more in the video. Oh my god! Watch your feet there, Damon. You got to walk home. You know what I mean? You got to get home.
I did.
Take out your own feet.
You know, I'm not trying to make excuses here, and obviously, you know that I had a couple decent hacks there, but Kevin, I really do think things could have been different if I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And I'm not talking about like khaki shorts. I'm talking about like some Lululemon shorts, like I usually wear. Like I really think that, you know, that was a big misstep for me. That especially the shirt. I was thinking about taking it off, but that felt like a hardo move. You feel you like, do you understand that?
I do. Like
I think if I
this
took
guy
the
brought
flannel,
the arm sleeve to the arcade game Pop-A-Shot.
If I took the flannel off, I think people would have been like, okay, now the pressure's really on.
Yeah, you
like
better 77 up.
You better hit like what would be like 300 feet if you're gonna take the shirt off.
You better rip a hole through the upper left corner of this
so I felt like
box.
I was kind of in a bad spot there. But I think that it was a little bit restrictive. But yeah, I mean, a couple decent hacks on the front end of that. I wouldn't say I totally redeemed myself from the throwing, but
yeah, I mean, can we talk about our guy Noah's arm?
Yeah,
Noah threw like an old style, like rock-a-back Tom Glavine.
He could tell me if I'm wrong here, but to my knowledge, Noah isn't much of a baseball player, and the fact that he gave me 68 from a sidestep, you know, pitching mound,
sign him up,
and just you know, coming on cold with, you know, no real baseball experience. I thought that was fairly impressive.
You want to talk about
Bo Brock barefoot?
Yes, you stole the words right out of my mouth.
Shoeless Bo Brock. That's what they're calling him.
Bo's wife looks at him and goes, "Hey, no, I'm worried about you. You got to take off the flip flops. Got to take off the flip flops." And he takes them off, and I'm thinking, like, man, dogs out on the mound is insane.
You got to give me some speed.
Hey, that's a lot of grip. It's a lot of grip when you get the dogs out. You know what I'm saying? So you got to take that serious. Bo also a little Buster Posey vibe. You know what I'm saying? I learned that Buster Posey is tall. I did learn that tonight. But yeah, no, Noah, Bo, Damon all did their thing. Noah, not really a hitter though. Much more of a pitcher. That honestly, kind of a reliever.
I wish there was like a fly ball competition. Then you guys would have really seen some magic.
Oh, if you weren't diving, then you just didn't want it. That's the first thing I would have screamed. If a ball came right there to your feet and you didn't dive for it, I would have been like, "You gotta want it, Damon. You gotta lay out."
Listen, brother, I'm diving for the baseball. I've never come on, Kevin. You would have seen something special. You know they do those like D-backs fly ball competitions where they hit there's 3 fly balls and then like they go progressively higher. And they have a fan do it.
Yeah,
it's always been like, just get me a shot, coach.
Fun fact,
just get me a shot out there, coach.
I did that at the U of A baseball games when I was a student there.
Really?
Like I was the person throwing the baseball to you.
Oh, okay.
Like sometimes because I would.
You'd throw it instead of like putting it in like a machine that popped in there.
Yeah. So like
the D-backs one is like pretty nasty because this is not like a how hard can a human throw situation. This is like a Major League Baseball player hitting a fly ball. So it's really high in the air. You have to read it at like off the ceiling in Chase Field, it's a little bit more difficult. But
certainly more difficult than a game that we usually gave to children. But yeah, no, I was a rally cat for a season, Damon, which means we were like people organizing like the hot sauce races. I'm sorry, Max. There, I know we're still in outlaw country, but no. So yeah, we were people kind of doing that stuff, doing the t-shirt toss, all that kind of stuff. So part of that was throwing the baseball. So I'd have to go out there and try not to throw my shoulder out, just absolutely heaving the ball into the sun, hoping that this like 8-year-old child can catch it and win a t-shirt. Even if they lost, I would still try to slide my guy or girl a t-shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you. All that to say, Kevin, Innings Fest was a good time.
Great time.
And if you
Shout out
guys,
to Innings Fest.
if you guys
Extra
were considering going this year and you missed out, no worries, because it's going to be back next year. But they have innings, they have extra innings, in successive weekends here. I obviously was out of town in Indianapolis yesterday, and I wasn't able to go, even though we had a 2-day pass. But I honestly, I'm pretty sad that I wasn't able to, Kevin, because I had a great time today. Wish I got to stay out there a little bit longer, especially after the way that this game played out.
If we had known, Damon, we could have just called Shane independently and said we got sick, and then we could have been at Casey Musgraves.
Yeah, or just do it from Innings Fest. Just from the stage at Innings
We didn't
Fest.
even watch the game. We're just on stage with Casey Musgraves.
We could have been backstage with Casey.
We're like, hey, everybody, I don't know. I see the final score. It looks ugly, but this concert is beautiful. That would have been the entire post-game show, sounding like kind of like an Action Bronson situation,
Totally. Yeah, it was a tough one for Arizona, but it wasn't a tough one out at Innings Fest. Make sure you guys head on out next year if you were considering going this year. It was a ton of fun. And just great vibes as always. I just got to shout out, I had a Korean Philly cheesesteak.
Oh my God.
Where's the place called, Kevin? You know the place.
I think it's called Just Toast.
That's totally what it was called.
Or just Toast or something like that.
Unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable.
That place is amazing.
They had great food out there as well. Great drinks, great vibes. Extra Innings Festival. Make sure you guys head on out next year. If you haven't liked this video already, please do drop a like on this video. Like's a little light tonight, Kevin. I get it. We lost the game, but your boys gave you 110% effort on this post-game show.
Gave you an hour and a half and
you can't doubt that.
Exclusive Damon Fairall batting cage footage that you can't find anywhere else on the internet.
If you're not going to like the video for that second rip there, what are you doing?
Let's play it again. One more time before the end of the show. Here's Damon Dog taking some rips. Let's go.
This is for Erica.
Let's go.
This is specifically for Erica.
This, a.k.a. Erica wanted this. That was a great first rip, though, Damon.
It was. I mean, just in terms of timing.
Get on the ball.
The second one was legitimately a really hard hit ball and a good swing.
And then we can, these last two have to happen.
I'm analyzing the swing, though. I mean, just came around it. It's still a fluid, good hand speed swing. But yeah, obviously, second swing, that was where we wanted to be. Hopefully, I was hoping we got a little bit more of that, but all good. Comic Book Chris, you do get a medal. Thank you for your service. And of course, thank you for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast. Like this video if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel. Follow my guy Kevin at Kevo Posts, right?
At Kevo Post. KEVO
I don't know why that.
I
second guessed myself.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
KEVOPOSTS. I'm at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are at PHNX_Wildcats. Give us a follow. We've been popping off a little bit on our beat account, Kevin.
Combine stuff.
If you're not following PHNX_Wildcats, what are you doing? It is the premier Arizona Wildcats account when it comes to all sorts of digital media. We are coming at you from all angles for every sport. We're going to get off a baseball and a softball tweet right after this show because we want to drown out all the basketball disgustingness. And you're going to want to go give that account a follow at PHNX_Wildcats. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. And remember, guys, as always, bear down.
And go Cats.
We all silly like the mayor.